I found the most interesting story on Twitter, and I want to share it with you guys and see what you think about it. So apparently this gentleman looks like Messi. The resemblance is uncanny. And from my understanding, he even managed to get himself arrested in Iran because he formed a crowd just by being there. Like, there were so many people that surrounded him that the police considered that he caused a public disturbance. So that's how close he resembles. And allegedly, 23 women complained that they had sex with him because they thought he is the actual Messi. So he portrayed himself in a deceiving manner. Now, the interesting thing is that actually did not happen, right? Like, 23 women did not have sex with him because he deceived them. But these were rumors that were circulating to the point that the man went on Instagram and clarified that he never did something like this. The rumors are true. And if he had done something like this, he would be arrested because he lives in Iran. But the reason that I'm talking about this is to see how people reacted to the story, because this is what fascinates me about social media. Anyone can post whatever on the internet, but most people believe it to be true. And they have an opinion regarding this, right? Like, they add their own thoughts into this. And that is why it's fascinating to see how people react to the news, not the news itself. And by reading those opinions, we can assess the type of culture that we are in. Because these people are trying to virtue signal. They're signaling their morality to the masses. Because they're treating the stories as if they're Rorschach tests. Like, if you do not think the correct thing, you must be a horrible person. So I'm curious if I will pass this Rorschach test, right? Like, let's assume that the story is true. And you do have a man that looks similar to Messi. And he goes around in various nightclubs. And he portrays himself as Messi. And then he has, like, one night stands with various women. So what is the moral implication of this? Like, did he do a crime? That should be the question, right? Like, should he be imprisoned for doing this? Because this is what people are suggesting, right? Like, he should be categorized as a rapist. He should be arrested by the cops and then sent to a prison with other sex offenders, right? Like, this is the moral just thing that the overwhelming amount of people on Twitter have decided. My question is, like, whenever I click on a link, which ends up me getting hacked, why is it that everyone laughs at me? And they're like, well, why did you click it? How stupid could you be? Why are you so dumb to click that, right? Like, why is society all of a sudden, when you do something like that, putting responsibility on you? Because that responsibility makes you less likely to click links in the future, right? It's not just the fact that your computer got damaged, but it's also like this, the fact that everyone is laughing at you and you're like, you know what? Maybe I should be more careful. Like, maybe, surely the hacker should be punished, of course. But maybe it should be my responsibility to safeguard my own computer, because if I don't, then who will, right? Like, at the end of the day, the hacker gets arrested, but, like, my computer is still damaged. So if I had been more careful, like, maybe this wouldn't have happened. So we apply this mentality with many things, except for relationships. Like, when it comes to a relationship, you should never, under any circumstance, no way, no how, blame the woman whatsoever, or even suggest that she could have done something in order to avoid the situation, right? So in this particular instance, if you have a man pretending to be like Messi, how many days would it require for a person to figure out that they're not really Messi? Like, we're talking about getting intimate with another human being, right? Like, seeing them butt naked and doing the nasty. And you don't even know that this person is not who they claim they are. And it's not like a small claim, because it's one thing if a person claims, I have $10,000 in the bank. Like, that's difficult to verify. They're claiming they're fucking Messi. Like, unless the man lives in a mansion and drives, like, 5 expensive sports cars, you should already press X to doubt. But for some reason, I suppose, like, that's not something that is required nowadays, to have a little bit of common sense in interactions. And, I'm not even going to bring the concept, the horrible one with sex until marriage, or at least, get to know the person a little bit. Like, wait a couple of weeks? No. So the thing is, like, again, the allegation is that he would have had intercourse with these women. And the women were fine until they found out that he's not Messi, right? Like, the moment they found out that he's not Messi, that's when they got upset. And in the comment section, there's a lot of women that are abhorred by this, right? It's interesting that when you have activists that are suggesting that if you go out with a trans person and you don't know they're trans, right? Like they're passing, that you generally have no idea, and that person doesn't tell you they're trans either. When you go to the bedroom and you find out that the woman of your life has a cock, if you say no, you're a bigot, you're a transphobe, in fact, you should even get fired. And for some reason, I don't see the same ladies that are upset about misleading people being upset about this. Right? When it's about the Messi stuff, they get really upset. But when it's about... Because there have been so many posts on this subject on Twitter, it's unfucking real. Like, it's impossible that you haven't come across at least 3 of them, right? Like, this hypothetical scenario where you really can't tell whether or not the person is trans. And then when you find out and you choose, all right, well, you know, like, I just don't like cock. Like, sorry. If you say that, right? That is the most bigoted thing ever. And for some reason, like, no one is calling it out, no one is upset, right? It doesn't really tell me the principle. Is lying to people okay or not? Like, what if a woman claims that she's a virgin and she's not? Is that abuse? Is that, like, how many levels of dishonesty is there allowed to take place in a relationship before we can say, well, yeah, but, like, if you're this dishonest, I wouldn't have consented? What if a person lies about being employed? Like if a man says, yeah, sure, I work at Google. And it turns out that they don't. Is that also, or is it just like the name, the identity, right? Like if you pretend to be a famous person, that's where the line is drawn. If you're a transgender person and you don't say, that's fine. But if you're like a famous person, that's not fine. Is that where the line is drawn? I seen some cheeky little shits on Twitter saying that, oh yeah, like there have been many times when I dated a woman and in the bedroom I realized that she has a push-up bra. So I definitely understand the pain that a lot of women are going through when they realize that the man wasn't actually Messi. Like I understand, I sympathize. He got a lot of hate. The Trust and Safety Council was unable to stop the hate. A lot of hate. But here's another question. What if the partner was cheating? Like what if the partner literally the day before had intercourse with 5 other people? I mean, surely you wouldn't have consent if you knew, right? You probably even feel dirty with yourself when you find out. And you're like, well, that's disgusting. Like, if I knew, I would never. But should it be considered a criminal act? It used to be, by the way. Cheating used to be considered a criminal act. In many countries, and even today in some parts of the world, it's considered. But for some reason, people aren't disgusted by that, right, on Twitter. But this fake story really upset people. And again, it's a fake story, right? No one did any research. But what they did is, like, show a lot of hate to people that disagreed with them. Like, that was apparently... And not to mention, like, how likely is this going to happen? Like, how many people look like a celebrity and go around misleading others? Like, to be fair, I would understand if there were twins, like, genetically identical twins. And one of the twins goes to the girlfriend of the other and deceives her. Like, yeah, that would be fucked up. No, I get it. That would be fucked up. Because there's very difficult for that person to know, right? Like, there's little way of knowing for the spouse to figure out if it's true or not. But in this case, you know, I don't know if it's legal or not, but I can't really empathize. It's like, this would never happen to me. If I were to see a woman presenting herself as a celebrity, I think I would be able to tell before it gets to the intercourse. I think I should be able to figure it out before that takes place. And if that takes place, the last reason that I would do is because she's a celebrity. Like, you try to know the person, you try to see if there's compatibility. It's like, if it's so vain and so petty that it's like, oh, well, it's just because it's a celebrity, then, you know, I'll do the one night stand. And you're fine with that until you find out that they're not a celebrity. Like, come on. Really? I'm sure there's other... I mean, sure, you know, like, it's between you, the guy, and the government, right? So, like, if there's a crime committed, go figure it out. But me as a person from Twitter, like, I don't have that much empathy. You know, I care about the orphans and the starving children, and I just can't feel like it's a good thing to take empathy away from them and give it to you. And again, like, this didn't even happen, so what are we talking about? Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.